Hey, who's excited about the World Cup? Let's do some JavaScript. My name's Travis, and once again I have the distinct pleasure of hosting a video here on PHP Academy, and props to Alex, the owner of the channel. You are such a pimp. Today we're going to look at how we can use JavaScript templating to create this really cool World Cup player card that flips out when we hover like this. Here we have just a simple table of the World Cup's top goal scorers. Now this is as of Monday, June 23rd. Okay, this data is, as I'm recording this, may not be the same as when you're watching this, but today Neymar has had 4 goals and so forth with 3 goals. So what we want to do today is talk about how we can use some simple JavaScript templating to get this effect when we hover over Neymar's name. His kind of player card bounces up with his face, his name, height, weight, and birthplace. Now this could be really anything. I'm doing a leaderboard here of the World Cup top goal scorers, but I mean this could be, for example, a recipe name, and you hover over it and you get a preview of the recipe. It could be your friends on Facebook. It could be like members of a community, or like items in a store. Anything that has organized data. So what I mean by organized data is every player is going to have a name, height, weight, and a birthplace. So I could add those and a photograph. All of those elements can be in our template, organized and output with JavaScript. So this is what we're going to build, and let's get started with that. Okay, now I've reduced this back down to scratch. Here we have just a very basic table. And let me show you my code structure here. I have a base Sass, which is just, you know, like it's got a reset in it. It's got pulling in my font, just some base styles for you know, headlines and everything, links, and then I'm pulling. And then I have some styles here for the actual table, and they're just, again, simple, like just giving it some padding and margin, just giving the header a background, and so forth. Just very simple, nothing functional here, just styles. So what I want to do is I have a Sass document called card, and in here I'm importing base, and then in my index I'm linking to CSS card. So this Sass card is where I'm going to build out the styles for that card and show you how to get them templatized. So the first step that I do is I go in and before I build templatize something, I just build it statically. And so let's go into the first person here, Neymar, and I want to start building that card, and I'm going to do it inside of his linked name. So I'm going to break out this anchor here, and then just start building. So this is going to be called a div class player card. Let's get his image in there. And I have all of the players' images here in my image folder. So it's going to be img/neymar.jpg. Then I want his name. I'll put that in an H4. And then I want some quick stats about him, and I'll put those in an unordered list. Right, and so I'm gonna make sure to separate the different stats in like little containers that I can inject content into when I am doing the JavaScript, even though I'm not doing it right now. So I also want to do weight and birthplace. That looks pretty good for the template. Let's refresh over here and see what we got. Okay, now it's just threw our table all out of whack. Now we have to apply some styles here to get that table, or to get that name card looking good like we had it. We want to start at the very top. So our table is going to be called World Cup. And then inside of there, we want to look at all of the anchors. And I want to make sure that they are display inline block. And I need them also to be positioned. And they're going to be position relative, so that we can use them as anchors to position those cards when they're ready. Next is the player card itself. Player card, and you're going to be display block and position absolute. And I don't want the background to be transparent. I want it to sit on top of everything, so I'll say background white and padding. We need some padding. 10 pixels is good. And I want it to kind of float above everything, so I'm going to put a back shadow on it. 0 pixels, 0 pixels, 10 pixels, and then RGBA about 40% opacity. Okay. I need to, well, let's just see what we got. Okay, cool. That looks good, except for he needs to be on top of everything else. So I'm going to throw a little Z index on there. Just make him 1, I guess. Does that work? That works. Doesn't need to be too much, just a little bit. Let's make let's look at this image a little bit right now, and then we'll go back to the card. The image needs to be it's a little big, so let's constrain the width to like 80 pixels, and the height can be auto. And then we want it to float it left so that the text can be on its right, and give it a margin right of like 10 or 20, let's say 20 pixels, so that let's take a look here. Oh, this box needs to be bigger. Width, so let's say 400 pixels. There we go. Okay. Now I have the default headline as text align center, so I'm going to say that H4 is going to be text align left. And then there looks to be some margin bottom on this, so it needs to be only about 10 pixels. Cinch that other stuff up pretty good. Okay, and then let's make the whole font size generally about size about 14 pixels. That looks good. And then these, okay, these are not actually hyperlinks, but they're inheriting the color from the hyperlink here because they are technically wrapped inside of the A. So let's get, what are they, strong? Strong. Huh. Actually, let's just set the color on the baseball card. I'll set it to 666. There you go. That's nice. These spans are inheriting the span from the country name, and that's fine with me. I like it. It's generally not advisable to do like weird associations with, I mean, this should not impact this, but that's not what we're talking about today, so I'm fine with it. Let's style this face a little bit. Image, I want to give it a border. Border of 1 pixel, solid, and CCC. Oh, that's good. Neymar. Maybe this can be 12. Okay, yeah, I like that. That looks good. Maybe it's a little wide. Let's cinch that up to be about 360. There you go. Good. Okay, and then to position it a little bit, I'll say top 0, and then left 10. Okay, now this is where it will, let's go top 10 too. There you go. So when I hover over this name, I want it to show up. So I'll do this. Display none and hover player card display block. Okay, so his name, his card is popping up as we hover over his name. This is just like we wanted. Let's add a little bit of flair and use Animate.css, and this is just, I mean, these are pretty cool. I like this one, flip in X. This is what I had on the example here. It gives it this nice little animated touch, makes it feel nice and fresh. So let's download that and then put that in our project. Download that on GitHub. Download the zip. Okay, here's the CSS file. I'm going to drop it in my CSS here, and then in my index I'll just link it above my card CSS. Now this is kind of a hefty file just for this little thing that we're doing. So if you're going to use Animate.css, I would recommend going into Animate.css and finding the animation you're looking for, like for example bounce, and then just pull that individual one out. But since we're not, I mean, this video is not about optimizing your animations. This video is about making a template, so we're not going to worry about that. But as a recommendation, I would say optimize those animations, because there's a lot in there, a lot of cool things it can do. But if you're not going to use it all, just optimize it for the ones you are using. Animate.css, cool. Now to get this animation working, I have to go into my template here, player card, and write animate flip in X, I believe. Well, let's try that. That's not it. Is it animated? It's animated, okay. There we go. That's pretty good. It's kind of slow. But then again, this video is not about optimizing your animations. If this were about that, I would speed that up a little bit, because UX-wise, somebody's not going to want to wait forever until this thing gets done moving about. But it is a really nice, quick animation. All right, so now what we have is we have the template outlined right here, the structure, and we also have the styles. The styles are basically done. We're done with those now. Let's close that out. And what we want to do is find a way to replicate this structure and pull the data out across all these other ones and infinitely more of them really quickly. So what we want to do is go into our JavaScript file, and I'm going to make a function called template. Now I'm going to call this player card. Okay, and then function player card. All right, let's see what we need to do. We need to go into these hrefs, and I'm going to classify it. Go to class of player card reference. And then I need to take these few key stats, namely his name, but we have his name in the content of the link. I need his height, weight, and birthplace. And I'm going to use data types, or data height equals, and this guy is 5'9". Now this is a unique problem, but it'll probably still be a problem because we have, to represent the inches, we're using the end quotes of the actual data height quote. So I need to escape them by using the HTML characters, which I think are and pound 39, and then and pound 32, I think. Actually, this is 39 and this is 34. So you're gonna have to do that on every of the height ones, but that's okay. Now I want data weight. And he's going to be 132 lbs, and then data place, and he was born in Brazil. Okay, now basically all of the pertinent information that I need to reconstruct this template here is in these data strings, which are contained in the link. Okay, so to get his image, I have his name. It's the same. To get his name, I already have it. Height, got that in the string. Weight, got that, and birthplace, and then everything else we got. Okay, so what we need to do now is run over to our app.js, and now the first thing I want to do is I want to be able to go through and find all of the player cards, or actually the player card references. So I'm going to use jQuery to select them by class and say each. And then inside of that, I'm going to throw in a function, and so this is going to happen for each of these player cards that it finds. I'm going to start loading our variables with some of those data types. So the first one that we want, let me get some room to breathe here. First one we want is name. I'll call it player name. And that's going to be, actually the first thing I want is to get a this dollar, oops, this equals this. Okay, player name is going to be this text. I think that should be fine. And then player height is going to be this data height, and same thing about their weight. Oops, and lastly the place, right? What did I call that? I called it, yeah, data place. Okay. I'll call it player place. Okay, now we have all of that data stuck into our variable. Let's go ahead and check out, make sure, I'm kind of paranoid when I do JavaScript, so I always like end up doing these kind of things. Let's do a console log and check that our variables are spitting out the right data. So I want to say player name
I want to see player height. Player weight. And player place. Now, when I refresh, this should have happened automatically for each of the player reference cards or player card references, and we only have one of those so far. So let's refresh over here and take a look at our console. Oh, player height. Oh, this needs to be uppercase. Okay, try again. Okay, cool. What did we get? Okay, the first one. Okay, this shouldn't have happened because we're not going to have our templates built in, but let's look at what else we got. We got his place, we got his weight, we got his height, and this should be, see, the reason all of this popped in was because I called player name text, and currently all of this stuff is in player name. All of this stuff is in player name, but it shouldn't be. But I need to extract that template, and then it should work fine. But like what I want to know is that are these things registering, and it looks like they are. So that's good. Now I want to build a template, and I'm gonna take that markup var template equals this whole thing. Okay, and this is kind of what I do about all of this. I'm just kind of like capturing them all in strings. And this is going to form the template that we're going to start sticking data into. So right here, we'll end the string and then put in our variable, what was that, height? So player height. And this is going to be player weight. Player name, and also right here it's going to be player name. Name.jpg. Okay, and I'll end this with a semicolon to end our variable. Okay, that looks good. Now I can get rid of this basically and close this up. So now these all kind of look the same, except for the the data types that are in here. But now what I have to do is I have to take for each. So let me read my JavaScript to you. It says for find all of the player card references, and for each of them do this function. Find all of these find all of these datas and store them in these variables. Store this template in a variable and inject these data types or these data variables into the template. Oh, this one, missed one. Player place. Okay. Now all I have to do is say this, and now this at this point is referencing the player card itself, and then I write append, and then inside there I'm going to append a template. Okay, cross your fingers. I think this should work. Refresh. Yeah. So this content was created dynamically based on the class of player card reference and these data bits, right? And also the content of his name. So the rest of these should go pretty fast. I don't have to build out this structured content for them. I just have to fill in these variables. And this is something you can give to an intern to do. And yeah, so I think I'm going to run into a problem when I get to these guys with two names. Neymar is easy, he only has one name. But Kareem has two names, and his image has a hyphen between the two names. So what I need to do is I need to take player name and find that text, and I need to look for spaces. Oh, it's good right here, but for the image, I need to make another type here. I'll call it player name image. Yeah. And this is going to equal the player name, and then we'll do a few things to it. We're going to have to use a JavaScript method called replace. And inside there we'll say find the spaces and and then replace those with hyphens. And then just to be sure, we'll set it to lowercase. And then we have to go into his image and say img. Okay, I think that should work. Let's refresh, and aha, it works. Okay, great. And that's it. We did it. This is how you make a really quick JavaScript template and fill it in with data that's provided by your attributes in the parent. Cool.
Okay everyone, thanks for watching. I hope this tutorial was useful. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below the video here on YouTube, and I'll keep monitoring this video for the next few days. Also, this code example is available for a free download at github.com/devtips. DevTips is my channel. And if you think I didn't do a good job or you think you can do better, please submit a pull request. I love that kind of stuff. And if you like the video here, please share it on Twitter and on your Facebook groups. And if you like these videos and you want to see more of the videos I make, I have my own channel where I post a new video every Monday. It's called DevTips. Right now we're doing a long-form project reviewing a portfolio site from scratch. So you can check out this playlist to see how that's going, and you can actually download the source code on GitHub also. So thanks a lot to Alex from PHP Academy, and until next time, keep on hacking everyone.